So it's fishy again, and I've been thinking about honesty and authenticity. A couple of posts on my social media made it stick in my head. And when I talk about honesty, I'm not talking about not telling lies kind of honesty. I am talking more about that authenticity versus, say, I'm going to need a governor on that mouth or something like that. So the two posts were, one was about being honest and open from the beginning of interactions with people. And my first thought of that was, of course, a lot of people don't find the honest me very popular. And that's the thing. I think we all temper ourselves a bit like that in response to reactions that we get. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But also, a few years ago, R.J. Muller did an interview with a professor who was talking about how millennials and the younger generation find authenticity most important to trust and things like that. That someone who's authentic, they're more likely to trust and put their faith in. And I get that, but at the same time, you can see that maybe that's the same generation that we're talking about who is spending a lot of time in the news, at least. I don't believe all of them are like this, but a lot of time bashing people for their true thoughts, for the things that they want to say. And you can argue about what the election of Donald Trump says about people keeping their viewpoints to themselves and whatever. I didn't want to get political here, but you can see that that's a prevalent theme to deal with: authenticity, honesty versus the public reaction or just an individual reaction that you get. We have terms for people who tell you too much, like overshare and TMI. And the response, one of the responses that made me think of this subject was a friend who said that if people were really honest on Instagram, it would be empty wallets and fighting kids and cat puke. So probably true. And maybe we should do an honestgram, #honestgram with Instagram, and give some of the more real pictures of our lives. I don't know. That's again another thing that's gotten a little political, but I'm personally a private person. I don't spill a lot of my stuff, the things that I'm thinking of and dealing with and working on in public. And part of this video is to help, explore some of those things without having to be personal with somebody about it. But it's very difficult for me to open up to people. And I'm asking questions like, do they even want to know? Do people care about what's really going on? And in some cases, do they deserve to know? Are they that close with me? Have they proven that they could be trusted with the things that I would say? Part of that reticence, part of that hesitation to share is probably going back from my childhood, when earnestness was sort of mocked and punished, not necessarily by my parents or anything like that. That wasn't the case. But there have been people in my life for whom that has been a hobby. And it turns you away toward being authentic, being honest about what you are, or what you do, or what you feel. So there is that. But there's also been a rash of people that I've encountered who the only time I hear from them is when they want something. They want to be honest and authentic with me and talk about their problems and vent and whatever. But I don't get that back and forth. That's not an exchange. It's where people dump their stuff and then they don't reciprocate. The only time I hear from them is when they have stuff that they need to deal with, or favors that they want to ask, things that they want me to do or listen to or whatever. And God, that really kills the desire to share. I have problems with that even at church. There are a lot of people there and that hold to the value of living in community, sharing one another's burdens. And I'm not there. Years, and I am not there. Not at all. And I don't know why, as much as to just say, I don't know that I trust enough in people to share, to be honest, to be authentic. So there's a whole lot of veneer going on the outside here that people look at and see and don't necessarily see beyond. And part of that is me holding up that wall very tight, very, very, very solidly. And part of it is just habit. So I'm trying to think about that. Am I really holding back too much? Am I really not expressing my thoughts and the things that I feel? And I'm also considering the other side of that. What happens if I do? What happens when I do? I've seen patterns, and I tend to know better now. So how do you be honest and authentic with people? And about what? And how much? And what are the limits? And so those are things that I'm kicking around in my head. And I'm going to try this week, I think, to be more sensitive to people who might have difficulties or things they want to say but feel as though there's not a comfortable place. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to be shutting people out who need to talk. But at the same time, I don't know, maybe I'm not attuned to the signs of how people need to talk. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to put some honesty and authenticity into this, at least, so that I can work through that. And if it helps other people think about it a little bit, then that's great too.